Hey, what's up, guys? Just a quick astrology video for you today on opposite signs and placements. Specifically, we'll use the example of the sun opposite moon. But what I want to talk about specifically is the difference between having an opposition aspect between, say, the sun and the moon, and having your sun and moon in opposite signs and opposite houses, but not actually within an aspect of each other. So you can have your sun in Cancer in the 6th house, your moon in Capricorn in the 12th house. But if they're not within, if their orientation is not within a few degrees of 180 degrees, then they're not going to be in an aspect, or they'll be weakly aspected at best, even though those placements still carry the same energy. Remember, the sun is your ego expression, how your ego responds to things. So it can be a bit knee-jerk, but you know, your ego, your sun is really about how you want to show up in the world and to other people. And your moon is about your internal emotional nature, how you feel and think about things, how you are to yourself when you're by yourself, and maybe the sign you most identify with oftentimes. It's about how you contemplate things, you know? So your sun may carry one energy, your opposite may carry the shadow energy of that, but you're not going to feel that internal tension, that internal struggle, if they're not actually in an opposition aspect with each other, within 180 degrees of each other, directly across the chart. So I'm actually an example of this. I have those two placements. My sun is near the 7th house cusp of the 6th house, so it's near the descendant. But my moon in Capricorn in the 12th house is close to the 11th house cusp. So they're sort of on opposite ends of their respective houses. So they carry opposite shadow energies to one another, but I don't feel an internal existential crisis every time I'm faced with a situation that both my ego and my internal emotional nature want to respond to, if that makes sense. So, you know, remember, an opposition aspect really creates a tug of war type of tension, because the opposite placements are they're carrying shadow energies of one another. They're energies that maybe wish the other didn't exist at time, or they don't want to acknowledge each other's presence because they're so different, but so necessary for one to really achieve balance and harmony and, you know, well-roundedness in life. So there's not really much more that I wanted to say on that. I just wanted to point out that there's a difference. Like having an aspect, degree-wise, a strong, like right at 90 degrees square, or right at 180 degrees opposition, or, you know, close-knit within, you know, a degree or two, conjunction. It's going to cause that feeling, that internal feeling of, say, you know, tug of war and tension in the case of an opposition, or a butting of heads between those two parts of yourself in the case of a square, or a feeling of, you know, oneness and harmony within you in the case of a conjunction, which is sometimes not such a good thing. You know, you have to be able to distinguish between different aspects of yourself and compartmentalize to really understand, you know, why you're responding to things in the way you are. But you can have placements, again, you can have placements that are in, you know, shadowed, opposite, or squared, or conjuncted signs and houses. And so they carry those different energies. But you don't have that internal struggle, that, you know, sort of existential crisis that often results from especially, you know, opposite and squares. But I like to talk about opposites because I like the shadow work side of getting through opposition. So I guess to have opposite placements without the aspect is really to be able to have your cake and eat it too. You'll find that it's more easier for you than for someone who maybe has the same placements but in a close opposition with each other, to find harmony and balance between those two parts of yourself. Most obvious case being, say, the sun and the moon. But if you are sort of burdened with that aspect, if you do have a close 180-degree aspect of an opposition, then you are going to feel that tension, and it's something that you really have to work through. It's going to present itself as really one of the first and most important steps for you to becoming balanced, well-rounded, and achieving your potential. So anyway, that's my video today. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Cheers.